I want to tell you about my adventures in learning to think and work like a beaver. With the Nature Conservancy, I study beaver-inspired stream restoration. But before we can even talk about beaver mimicry, first we need to think about why we want to emulate these charismatic rodents. Beaver and their dams can have profound impacts on ecosystems. Beaver can form massive wetlands, completely change the course of a river, and through their dam building, provide habitat for many other species. Aptly, beaver have earned the nickname nature's ecosystem engineers. In fact, they're second only to us in their ability to transform their environments to suit their needs. Beaver once numbered up to 400 million in North America, but intensive fur trapping and land use changes nearly drove them to extinction by 1900. Through successful conservation efforts, beaver now reoccupy most of their historic range. But streams haven't recovered so quickly. The loss of beaver dams and human activity have degraded former wetlands to deeply incised channels. And without the dams there, the channels are eroded ever deeper. Beaver reintroduction has restored some of these systems, but others are too degraded for beaver to re-inhabit. Either the banks are too steep or there isn't enough vegetation. And in systems like that, beyond what even nature's ecosystem engineer can repair, humans are trying their hand at beaver dam building, making beaver dam analogs. The idea is that maybe something that kind of looks like a beaver dam and maybe works like a beaver dam could be a solution. Beaver dam analogs are built by driving fence posts into the stream bed, not beaver-like at all, weaving willow through and reinforcing the dam with gravel, mud, sediment. Think like a beaver, just make the stream stop flowing. Beaver dam analogs are designed to promote surface water storage, encourage deposition on the stream bed to raise that incised channel back up, and encourage the growth of vegetation. Now, while these goals are similar to what we understand beaver dams to do, there are some fundamental differences, like the creature that built it. Now, despite all my care when weaving willow, I can't match the constant urge of a beaver to slow a stream. The second big difference is the environment where these structures are built. Beaver can't return to where we build a beaver dam analog, so we can't assume they're the same. And despite a rising enthusiasm for these structures, we don't really know much about what they do. I'm working with a team of scientists to help to fill this gap. We're trying to understand how beaver dam analogs impact the stream system so that they can better be aligned with stream restoration goals. I specifically look at channel morphology out in Red Canyon Ranch, not a bad field site. This is a beautiful scenic overlook on Highway 28 in Wyoming that houses a wildlife management area and an active cattle ranch where beaver dam analogs were installed last summer. When I left the field last summer after installing these BDAs, I didn't really know what to expect when I came back. Would there have been more deposition, or would they fail and encourage more erosion, or some combination of both? When I returned this summer, I was shocked to see how much sediment had moved in just 1 year. In some places, the channel had shrunk by half because the bank had moved. Other places had been eroded over a meter, forming new meanders where none had been there a year before. My favorite shallow spot to cross the stream had been scoured into a waist-deep pool. And we couldn't find a lot of our field instruments because they were buried. But that happens in field science. And no, not a ton has changed in 1 year, some might say. It doesn't look like a beaver lives there. But I think these results are really promising. We can see that beaver dam analogs do change stream systems. And while there was more erosion than I thought, that erosion is critical to sourcing sediment downstream. And we even had a beaver come back and work on the dam for a few days. And it didn't stick around, but I've never been so excited to see a rodent. A lot of people ask me if the ultimate goal of BDA projects is to bring the beaver back, and I don't have a solid answer. It depends on the stream, how degraded it is, and what the goals of the restoration project are. But I do know for certain that we have been inspired by beaver for decades. And if motion-sick beaver airdropped by parachute in the 1950s decided to call their new environments home, I'm not crazy to think that maybe beaver might come back to some of our streams too. Thank you.